last weekend, George Will gave a great speech. And he talked about how the Democrats' agenda is to create voter dependency. Okay, it's not an unfortunate result of their trying to help poor people. It is their agenda to create as much dependency. When Dennis Kucinich gets out of bed in the morning, his main thing that he's thinking about is how can he foster more dependency? How can he get more millions of people to depend on the federal government, the Democrat Party, to provide their everyday care? 40 million people on federal food stamp program now. 40 million people depending on the federal government to get their daily food. If you ended that program today, nobody would go hungry.
Okay, let's get a response.
Well, the only one who knows what I think about when I get out of bed is my wife. So you stand corrected. Next, we have to talk about what the purpose of our government is. It's not simply to be a cash cow for banks. It's not simply to watch poverty grow in this country and stand by and not do anything about the fact that so many people are out of work. It's not to be indifferent to the fact that 47 million people don't have any health insurance at all. It's not to not care about the fact that so many small businesses are failing. We have an obligation to be engaged here. Now look, I voted against the bailout. I voted against this health insurance bill because I saw its limitations. I'm not a rubber stamp for my party. But at the same time, you have to see what's the purpose of government. You know, government has a multi-trillion-dollar budget. Is it only to help fight wars around the world, many of which we had no business starting? I mean, what are we about? That's really what the question is. Good morning.
Let's go to Sarasota, Florida. Mike, independent line.
Good morning, C-SPAN. Good morning, Representative Kucinich. I had a question. I hear a lot of numbers getting thrown around that healthcare is 1/6 of our economy. Is that healthcare insurance 1/6 of the economy? And if so, I'd just like the listeners to think about that for a minute, because something would be wrong with that if that is
right. Right. I think the figure relates to this, that roughly, based on figures from about 18 months ago, $2.4 trillion a year, or about 16 to 17% of our gross domestic product, goes for healthcare spending. And of that amount, about $1 out of every $3 goes for corporate profit, stock options, executive salaries, advertising, marketing, the cost of paperwork. And what I've said, if you take the money that right now goes for administration and for things that are not related to healthcare, and you put it into care, we'd have enough money to cover dental care, mental health care, prescription drugs, vision care, long-term care would all be covered. You know, we spend twice per capita than what any other nation spends for health care, but we're not getting the care that we're paying for.
Congressman Kucinich, the Wall Street Journal sort of handicaps the House votes looking at health care calculus, some House votes in flux, and tries to guess which votes may change based on how they had gone last year. Are you concerned? You're not on this list. Let me say that you're not on this list.
Well, the Wall Street Journal would be correct.
Are you concerned that this whole thing could get scrapped and the president's vision, the work that's been done so far, could go back to zero?
Well, the work that's been done so far has many flaws in it. And while I want our president to succeed, and I supported him, I don't want to be part of locking in a privatization process without any controls over premiums at a time when premiums are going up from 20% to 50% to 40%, when insurance industries have had a double-digit increase for the last 4 consecutive years. This will be the 5th year. It's just flawed. So do we have to go back to square one? Well, let me tell you what's happening. In state after state, people are beginning their own initiatives at a level. Pennsylvania, Healthcare for All Pennsylvania, is a statewide organization which is doing everything it can to advance single payer at the state level. And whether it's Pennsylvania or Missouri or Colorado and Maryland, there are initiatives happening all over this country. And I believe that this process in our capital here is so totally flawed that it cannot and will not succeed. However, Americans will